So, delighted to be joined today by Alexander Dragonetti. How are you?
Hello. Well, thanks very much.
After our discussions about tea and coffee drinking in the morning, and we're here.
I know, with a coffee clearly made it.
I know we could jump straight into Traitors, but what I wanted to talk about is your career, kind of both leading up to the Traitors and afterwards.
Yeah.
Quickly whistle-stop me it.
Yeah. Straight out of uni, I became a secondary school teacher in a challenging school that had a kind of full-time policeman.
Yeah.
So it's tricky. I ended up teaching about 7 subjects, even though I was meant to be doing 1.
Okay.
At a mix of sort of 11 to 18. I did that for a couple of years, but I also had a place at the Foreign Office during that time. And at the end of that, the Foreign Office, after 2 years, the Foreign Office said either you take your place as a diplomat or you lose it. So I took it. And at that point, I then came into the Foreign Office. I worked on a range of things. I did counter-terrorism for a bit. I ended up working in Nigeria. I worked in the Middle East as part of the peace process where John Kerry was leading it. Then I went to Pakistan and worked there for a few years on human rights. Went to Ireland, ran a quite senior role visit, the first for that couple overseas. And then I also worked for ministers as a sort of chief of staff for about 3 years. So a range of stuff in the Foreign Office. Yeah.
So did you fall into teaching kind of before?
No.
And when you say you had a job in the Foreign Office while teaching, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I got both jobs sort of at the same time.
Right. Usually people say yes to one and no to another. You said yes to both.
That's right. Yes, that's right. The Foreign Office sort of process back then was about 9 months long. So you sort of do 7 or 8 different rounds. You do group exercises, you do role plays in front of actors, you assess by psychologists, the whole lot. So it's a long process. And during that process, I got this place on a scheme called Teach First. Teach First was always a 2-year program. I talked to the Foreign Office and I said, hey, I definitely want to become a diplomat, but I'd really love to do teaching in a tough school. I think it would be maybe a better diplomat.
Yes.
Whether it did or not, I don't know.
We'll come on to
but I said it did. And so that's how I ended up doing both.
So flippantly, what was harder in terms of diplomacy? Children or politicians?
Honestly, teaching, I think, is the toughest job I've done. Okay. And I sort of split jobs into, are they tough sort of emotionally, physically, or mentally?
Yeah.
And I think emotionally are the toughest of the 3. And teaching was the toughest. Kids will go for anything to try and break you, especially when you're new. And sort of obviously new in my case. I sort of turned up in a suit on my first day. I'm like, this would be like one of those films where we'll get to know each other and you'll decide actually what you really want to do passionately is history. And they're like, no, I just don't care.
It's interesting because I always say, kind of, when speakers say to me, spoken at loads of schools, kind of, I'm like, okay, you'll be fine in front of any audience. If you can speak to a bunch of teenagers, you can speak to anyone.
And I always think adults are kind of like kids, just with sort of more layers of social...
Yes, they understand they can't just ask a question that they really want to ask.
Exactly. They still have the same impulse, right? Or they still think, I'm bored, I'd rather not be in this lecture, or whatever it is. Right. Adults have the same impulses, they just control them better. And in some ways, it's good to work with people where their impulses are right at the front of their brain. And kids will try and break you, and they sort of, they come at you and say, "Sir, you're so ugly." And you're like, "Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, shame, but okay." Or they're like, everyone hates you, and you're like, "Oh, okay, that's a loss. We'll survive." And then they're like, "You're a terrible teacher." And you're like, "No, that's the one. That's the one that gets me. I really do want to be a good teacher." So they always find something.
So diplomat, how was it? How was the experience? Were you a good diplomat?
Oh, that's a bigger question. I love the job.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. I think in your 20s, being able to go to some of these countries, like in Pakistan, I went up to the Hindu Kush, the Karakorams, and the Himalayas meet, and the mountains are sort of 8,000. I can't remember what they are, but they're very high. Yeah, very high is the point, and they fill the sky, and there's sort of up there. There's sort of Taliban flags and this kind of stuff. That is an adventure in a way that not that many people get to do in their 20s, and I think that is just so exciting.
Yeah.
Road trips down the road down by the Dead Sea, down through the deserts and that kind of stuff. So I was incredibly lucky. And I worked on some things that I found incredibly meaningful. The Middle East Peace Process I still care very, very deeply about. I think it's enormously important. Very sadly, we're sort of going in the wrong direction. Things like human rights, stability and peace, these things really matter. So I was very lucky. I got to live a really interesting life to me, doing things I really cared about.
So why apply for the Traitors?
I think everything has a sort of a time when it works and a time when it works slightly less. For me, living overseas for long periods for the rest of my life was something I thought very, very carefully about.
Okay.
I think your relationship with your friends and family risk atrophying, and you need to know why you're doing it. And there are lots of good reasons to do that, and it's a fantastic job, but it's not the same job at every period of your life. So I always fancied mixing it up.
Tangentially on that, just kind of. So what's like? There's been a lot of talk in society about remote working, digital nomads, and all these people. What's your take on it then? Having kind of, in terms of what you just said.
I mean, it's a cop-out answer. I don't think there's a right model for everybody. So I'd be crazy to say it's a bad thing or a good thing. But I think, like everything that sort of becomes very popular, lots of people do it, and then people work out that there are pros and cons, right? My view is that it has short-term excitement and fun, and digital nomading, I'm sure, has exactly the same. This image of going off to the beach at night after a long day's work, dreamy. Flip side, for all the fun and excitement you gain, you lose connection, I think, of community, of stability, of being rooted in a place. Neither is right or wrong, but you get different volumes of different good things, and you've got to decide what works for you at that time. It's also one of the really annoying things in life that what you want changes over time.
Yes.
So what you want in your 20s and 30s or whatever may not be the same as what you want in your 40s or whatever it is. And I think you have to be quite attuned to the fact that what you've been striving for now might not be the same as what you want to strive for in the future.
Cool.
It's a bit deep, isn't it?
No.
It's a bit heavy for your question.
I find it fascinating. Okay, going back to your qualification. I think the question I've got, I'm interested in, did you go into the Traitors and yourself, okay, diplomacy is going to work like a treat? Because I've got this nailed, because I understand how to play the whole thing, which is what I do in my life.
No, definitely not. I think one of the things that diplomacy teaches you is not to have an expectation on anything. If you think something's going to work beautifully, it almost certainly won't. If you think things are going to be a disaster, then you've probably prepared for it relatively well, and it might well not be. So no expectations whatsoever. I also tried to avoid the trap of saying, I'm a diplomat and therefore I'll be great at X, because the next split screen will be you screwing that thing up. Or sort of blowing up your relationship with people or something. So no, I avoided that. And I really think it's true. The thing in the show is to be adaptable. That's what matters most.
Right.
So if there was something I take from diplomacy, it's adaptability. Read the situation and then adapt to it. Anyone who came in with a grand strategy probably lasted, 3 hours, and then the game deliberately throws it on its head.
Had fun with it?
I loved it. But the thing I love most about life is new experiences. I heard Louis Theroux talk the other day about trying everything on the buffet, and I think it's a great analogy. I just thought, given this opportunity, would I regret not doing it? I thought, it's just fun. And it was. I was so lucky. I found it super fun, and I generated a really tight-knit community of people from it, which was my other objective. So I was very lucky to get both.
And did you appreciate kind of it might blow up and you might become this public persona, and did you have plans?
Oh, I see. I think you meant blow up negatively.
No, not negatively.
No, not at all. God, no. I didn't expect anything out of it. I did it because I thought it would be fun. I thought it would be a new experience, and I thought I'd be able to look back on it for the rest of my life and say I did that.
Right. Yes. Put in a box and say that was great.
And that was great.
Yeah.
And obviously, if anything comes out of it, then that's a bonus, but you never expect it, right? And I've been really lucky. Like I've got to do a range of things that I would never have got to do otherwise. I'm incredibly lucky, and it's partly thanks to the public being great that I've got to do some of that stuff. So yeah, I'm lucky, but no, I didn't expect it.
So tell me what you've been up to. Because again, we spoke about this off camera, but tell me what you've been up to since.
So in the immediate aftermath, I ended up DJing for Classic FM for a while.
Yes.
That was fun. So I always think of DJing as sort of a nightclub.
Yes.
Beethoven and Mozart taking over the dance floor. So that was really good. I did proms a couple of weeks ago, where I can now just say I'm a soloist at the Royal Albert Hall for singing.
How was that for the experience?
Oh man, I loved it. Secrets of a mission. I really love being on stage.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I was always saying I didn't have the talent to sort of sing or act.
Yeah.
But I love being on a stage, which is sort of a curse, isn't it? So no, I really enjoyed it, and I was meant not to sing. I was meant to just sort of pretend I was going to sing, and then hand over to the BBC choir, and the crowd kind of.
So sorry, so you were not meant to sing, and you just decided to take it over.
Well, the crowd kind of.
Or you perceived the crowd.
I perceived the crowd had no interest in hearing me at all.
Sorry, I should have.
No, it's fine. The crowd was quite loud. I think objectively quite loud, and therefore I sung for them.
But that must have been a kind of. As you were doing it, were you like, what that?
It's just a surrealness, right? You've got this energy of 20,000 people, and you're sort of standing. I loved it. So that, and then more recently, I've done a lot more foreign affairs stuff. I try and explain foreign affairs to people in a way that doesn't tell them what to think. It just frames the choice. It's a trade-off between A and between B. You make up your own mind, and as part of that, I interviewed the PM and asked them some questions that I thought were important. Not part of political, but it's important that people understand because he makes the decisions. I recently wrote some opinion for the I newspaper, so I'm really enjoying keeping my hand in foreign affairs because I still love that.
Yeah,
I still love that.
Yeah. So, MenCap, you're deeply involved in it. How did you get involved, and what are you up to with it?
So MenCap my connection with MenCap stems from the programme where I talked about my brother who had learning disabilities, who died when he was 17. That caused this fantastic sort of public response where people ended up donating more than the total prize fund for the TV show, which is just truly fantastic. And it's like a different version of winning, honestly, it really is. So I was going to donate a portion of the winnings to it, so I'm super lucky there. Since then, I've become an ambassador for MenCap, and I talk about MenCap, sort of things that are helpful to them. I'm running the Great North Run in 2 weeks to raise more money for them, and also awareness, because I think inclusion is a sort of word that's often used, but it's really important. Difference is hard for all of us, just all of us. It just is. And if we break down some of those barriers, then that's a really good thing, make it more mainstream. So I care about that too.
So I know we've gone on from those different matters. I appreciate your time is precious, and you've done a host of other kind of adventure type activities.
Yeah.
As a closing thing, give us one or two things that you'd love to do that you haven't done yet.
Oh, I haven't done yet. That's a good question. I think there's still some areas. Well, there's obviously lots of areas of the world I'd love to explore. Highlights for me have been like going to the world's like northernmost McDonald's, or going to sort of the world's first nuclear icebreaker up in Archangel and Murmansk, or going to the sewers of Bologna, or I love going down disused London tube stations back here. I don't want to. I actually have done all of the available ones. So thanks. So that kind of stuff I love. A couple of things I still love to do. I'd love to do all the way around Iceland. I've never been to sort of a cold country like that and do a sort of a loop of stuff like that. There's a whole load of underground spaces in London I'd still love to explore. I went to Thames Barrier the other day, stuff like that. How does that work? I just find it interesting. And then from a sort of foreign affairs point of view, I think there's still sort of parts of the Middle East that I'd still love to explore, having lived there for a while. But it's a tricky time.
But a lot of living to do.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute privilege.
Thank you so much. Really nice to meet you.
Lovely meeting you.